Okay, we'll call the meeting in order. The Newman City Council regular meeting of September 13th, 2005. Please stand for the pledge and remain standing for the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow your heads and join me in prayer. We pray tonight for all the families of our nation's tragedy, the anniversary of 9/11, the tragedies of the hurricane, and we ask that you guide us in our decisions for the citizens of Newman. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Tim. Can we have roll call, please?
Present.
Present. Present. Present. Item 5, declaration of conflicts of interest. This evening under regular business, item A, it's the continuing discussion about Del Val property. So because I live within 500 feet, I will be leaving the room.
I also, on 10A, have the same conflict. I live within 500 feet, and I actually am the person who sold the property to them, so that's my conflict.
Item 6, ceremonial matters. I don't have the proclamation in front of me. It is Step Family Day. We had a request for a proclamation, but the person could not make it this evening, so we just want to acknowledge that it is Step Family Day. Item B, under ceremonial matters, there's a presentation from the Police Explorers.
You guys can smile back there along the wall.
They're not on a lineup.
Trying to look serious here. This is not a
All
lineup.
the fish is looking, that's good.
Not quite a six-pack though.
All right.
This is our Explorer post. I think we are missing a couple, but I just wanted to kind of go through. We have a little presentation we want to go through as far as them going through the academy. That was in August. They went about August 7th to the 13th, about a month ago from today. And as you'll see, as this thing kind of goes, you'll see what they were put through, and and they showed what they were made of. We got recognition, and I'll have one of our advisors, David Ham, come up and speak about that just very short. And out of 250 kids that were there, for our 5 that went to get recognition there, I thought was quite remarkable for that for those kids to be able to make that kind of mark. So we were well known down there at those academies, and they were very big academy. I mean, very big posts that went like Kern. I think they had like 50 kids that were there. There was a lot of them that had a lot of kids as part of that. So we had 5 out of that, and to get recognized, I thought was quite well. And we've participated from year to year, and we've gotten minor recognition, but they outdid themselves this year. So, and the other thing I want you to realize too, that these are the same kids that go out there and they are fundraising to make this to go, because it's like $340 a kid, and they're doing car washes, they're selling tickets, they've sold candles, popcorn. What else have they done? They've had scratchers, they've had everything to be able to raise this money. So they earned the place to be able to be there. And it was at no cost to the city to be able to make that happen. So, with that, could you show?
Can we give them a round of applause? Mr. Mayor, before the chief proceeds, are you going to introduce the cadets to us?
I'm going to have our advisor.
Okay, wonderful.
Well, I'm not sure if we're having sound here. Well, it sort of is. It's kind of like how the police academy goes. They make sure you're physically fit. After a few years, though, you kind of wears off on you. But they're pretty well.
Are you saying we have to send you back, Chief? Is that what you're saying?
They're running. There's a lot of running. And it's one of their DIs right there. They're doing some handcuffing techniques here.
Oh, wow.
It's one of our explorers. There's Laura. She's also handcuffing. And you can see it's pretty much like a military, and they go through all kinds of different phases. Crime scene investigation. They're looking for evidence. It's like CSI stuff right here. So, as much as a sandstorm is, I think that's a personal thing, but a lot of physical training was done during this year, really testing them. And these are things that they have to actually do to pass to get into the academy.
Yeah.
They're dragging this dummies one crossing or going over this wall is another. We also had a little bit of fun, high-speed driving.
Oh.
Officer Richard is one of our other advisors. Duffystown's another obstacle course, as you'll kind of see. Things that you come up in urban environments, what they're having to overcome. I can't remember the last time I went over a chain link fence.
I can, but I don't want to talk about it.
Thanks, Bob. And other urban things that they're having to kind of go through.
Who took all the pictures, Chief?
We had a number of photographers that were there. I think your son was one of them. And we had Lana Mays and one of our other advisors, and then Andrew Mays was also there. Remember this gal here, this is Laura. She got recognized for her for this being able to handle that vehicle stop. It was a felony vehicle stop. She handled it very well and got recognized for that. We're into the graduation course, and we told them kind of had to really cut this thing down. So this is like a week, and we had 25 minutes, and we were cutting it from there. There's our group, advisors and explorers that participated. And this is Officer Ham's son, who was also recognized for some physical fitness that he did. He also had to start out because he had his dad was one of the advisors, so he had to do 50 push-ups, I think, right from the start. Because Daddy was there. There,
Wow.
that's 250 of them there, and our 5 that went received awards, which is very good for us.
Wow. Congratulations.
Same kids are out there doing helping on our Newman Fun Run, the Fall Festival. We're able to, and they're helping on the farmers market. They're going to be helping on the band review that's going to be coming up in October. So, with that, I'd like to have Advisor Officer David Hamp come up, who's also our school resource officer.
Can you have them come up so we can show them off a little?
I think he will.
Good, good. That's all right. How you doing? Good job.
Yeah. The advisors also had to participate in some of this, so they're doing some running and stuff. I think we cut some of those pictures.
Part of the emergency group, they go down and they help assist the UBI. Could you just mic please so people on the
Sorry about that.
You can pull it off there, David, if you like.
in the cars, that was my fun thing. I like driving cars, going fast. Kind of
Watch
scary
out
when
for
you
cows, right?
get, look out, no cows, just cows.
You had to bring that up, I think.
Sure. First of all, we want to start off with Explorer Sergeant Salazar. Like she said, come on up, Sergeant. She was recognized for her tactical during her felony car stop. So she did an outstanding job. And she's also our leader. She's been here the longest. She's been through the academy 3 times. So.
And they go through each level. Each time they go to a different level.
Very good.
Who we got next?
Next is for Susan.
Susan. Susanna just started here recently, and she's a real big competitor. Even while at the academy, she got slightly injured, but she still received her 2nd place in the PT for the obstacle course. Yeah, I'll tell you the times later. Next we have Explorer Talissa. this Explorer, she works hard all the time. She gives me a hard time. She says that she doesn't want to partake in everything, but she fulfills and comes through. She does an outstanding job. Explorer Souza, Joanna. The two Souzas are sisters. This is the oldest one, and Joanna is the youngest one. Joined the obstacle course. Like I said, Susanna got hurt, so Joanna went out and she represented Newman extremely with lots of pride. She received first place in the obstacle course with a time of 39 seconds. Wow. Number 2 was Susanna. She received second place at 40 seconds. The next closest girls to them were 12 seconds away.
Wow.
So to rank them, they would have been in the top 5 of the guys.
Wow.
So they did an outstanding job. And the last one we got over here is this is Explorer Ham. What was his time?
Could you give us a quick 50?
Yeah, he went through the paces pretty quick. They found out they picked up on that name Ham and said, wait a second, we got an advisor here. So yeah, they put him to work right away. But he took all the torture and all the extra push-ups and sit-ups and all that good stuff. During the obstacle course, he broke their course record.
Wow.
33 seconds, 34 seconds.
Wow. Wow.
So
Wow.
he was moving, but don't get slow. The girls are right there on you. So they did an outstanding job. I cannot forget my support crew. 2 volunteers that went down with us. They helped transport equipment for us. That'd be Sergeant Mark Crinklaw. Come on up here. And then one of our ex-explorers is now as a VIP, and he's helping us out a lot, Andrew Mays. So they did a good job. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations, and keep up the fine work.
Thank you for your patience. They do a lot, and it's just nice to be able to bring them up here and kind of recognize them for not only the academy, but everything else they do for us throughout the years. So
You bet.
with that, I'm sure you don't have any questions. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Items from the public, non-agenda items. If anybody has anything before us that is not on the posted agenda, now is the time. I believe George Stillman, Stanislaus County, or Jim's going to make the presentation. Our supervisor, Jim DiMartini, is here to give us a little update on the Oristemba flood control project. And George is also here, Public Works Director.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, citizens of Newman. I'm coming here tonight to give you the latest update on where we're at with the Oristemba flood control project. As you know, this project has been in the planning stages for years. We've had significant obstacles to overcome, from endangered species to Army Corps of Engineers problems to coming up with the money for the studies. But we are making some significant progress now, and we are beginning to move forward with the plan, the actual plan that the flood control project will have. Stanislaus County we haven't voted on it yet, but I think the votes are there. We'll put in $1.3 million additionally to what we've already spent, which is about $1 million. And with that, we intend to fund the study that will be the plan for restoration of the creek, which is widening the creek, and the detention dam. It's not only Stanislaus County money. We have some assistance from the federal government through Congressman Dennis Cardoza, who has been extremely helpful on this project. And I think they're coming up with about $200,000 for that. So in order for the project to move forward, the county must come up with the 1.3 million, and this is just the very beginning of a very expensive project that could be to the 30 million to 40 million dollar range. Everybody's been involved with this. I know the city of Newman has, Stanislaus County Public Works Director George Stillman is really right at the center of this. Dennis Cardoza, our congressman, has been involved. We've got Fish and Wildlife, which actually has been more of an obstacle than a help. And the California Fish and Game has also been involved, with the Corps of Engineers. So there's been a lot of time in the planning in trying to get this project off the ground. And the Stanislaus County realizes how important this flood control project is to the city and the residents of Newman, and we are committed to get this thing done. It hasn't been easy. The one thing that I've learned in just the short time I've been there is the government moves very slow. Everything is just studied to death. And so we're trying to narrow down the scope of the project to something that'll work. And I think that we have a compromise on this, which will include widening of the creek, which technically they're calling it a wildlife corridor.
Restoration.
Yeah, a wildlife corridor. They can call it whatever they want as long as they widen the creek and increase the flow.
And give us some money for it.
Well, you'll get some money, but you're not
But I
going to
mean
get all of
from
it. That's part of why I'm here. With the widening of the creek, the detention dam could be a little bit smaller, which would cut the cost down too. There is different sources of money available. Federal government, it will put up a good bulk of it, probably half. State of California, of course they're in financial trouble now, but I think they're gradually getting themselves out of it. And Stanislaus County, but the missing component of this is the people that are in this floodplain. In order for this project to really work, to get it built, we feel it's going to take a flood control district with an assessment on the parcels. I won't give you any specifics on the cost yet because the county is still working that out. I have an idea, but I've been warned by the Public Works Director not to throw out any numbers because they'll come back and get me later. But we have identified approximately 3,600 parcels. We have a map of the floodplain that will show those 3,600 parcels, and we believe that's probably where the 100-year flood is, and that's probably most likely where the assessment district would be. In order to get this project off the ground, we do need some support from the residents. This is approximately what the flood control district will be. It goes from Crow's Landing clear to the county line on both sides of Highway 33. It's a large area. As you know, the town is flooded several times, and if your houses have water in the streets or in it there, you know you're in the floodplain. In order for this project to come up with the sufficient amount of money that it's going to take to build it, a flood control district is really about the last missing link that it's going to take to get this in. And because of Prop 218, this will have to be voted on by the people of Newman, and it will take a 2/3 vote. Although this is just an information only, and I know you can't act on anything tonight, we would hope that the council and the city of Newman would support assessing themselves an amount per parcel in order to get this project built. Because what I can see with the costs and what the federal and state is willing to put up, and we're going to have to twist their arm for that, there is probably about 10 million or so that has to be raised from the district, roughly. Depending on what the final design is and after it goes out to bid. So that is what we would be looking for. And realistically, without a flood control district, it's something we could bond to raise the last part of the money. Now remember, this project could be as much as $40 million. That I don't think this project will ever happen. So there's been a lot of time spent on this, and I wanted to let everyone know that this district is going to have to come up with some of the money in order to get this thing built. And I'm going to be real clear about that. The county is certainly committed to getting this done, but we cannot finance a project this big. And the state and the federal government is not going to put up all of the money, but most of it, probably 3/4 of it. So that's where we're at right now. I have that's the basics of where we're at. We have Public Works Director George Stillman, who has been involved in this thing for a long time. He's had many meetings with Corps of Engineers, Fish and Wildlife, and the Fish and Game Department, and perhaps he can fill you in on some things that I've perhaps skipped over.
Yes, thank you, Supervisor, and it is a pleasure to be back before the City Council again. We've been telling people very cautiously that we actually are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. The work product and the present process that Supervisor DeMartini was discussing is what's called a feasibility study with the Corps, but most importantly it's the EIR for the project. And that EIR defines the project, and it's the document that you take to start getting some money, money for design and construction. It's a fairly important, I think, milestone in the process. This is where we've been heading for a long, long time. But that EIR, I mean, that is it. And we'll be sure to stay in touch with everyone as we go through the next part of this process where that document is developed, because we want to make sure that the appropriate answers come out. That's, I think, the biggest thing, and I would be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
George, thank you very much.
Oh,
As
it's been our
usual.
pleasure.
And let me know when you can set up a date with a new PM, and we'll give them a tour.
Yes, we have a new project manager. It's number 42.
I think so. I think you're right. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor DeMartini. Is there any other non-agenda items? Seeing none, agenda item comes before the council. Please, if you'd like to make a comment, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and try to keep your comments to under 3 minutes. Public hearings, we have none. Item 9, consent calendar, approval of warrants, approval of minutes of the August 23rd, 2005 regular meeting.
I so move adoption.
Hold on a minute. I'd like to have warrant number 029137 pulled back on separately, please.
What number was that again?
029137.
Okay, I see. Okay, pulling 29137, could we have a motion to approve those without that one?
So move adoption.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, thank you. And number 29137?
I move adoption of warrant 029137.
I second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 4 with 1 not participating. Thank you very much. We will go on to item 10 under regular business, and myself and Charles will be leaving the room now. Turn the meeting over to Mayor Pro Tem. Huh? I'm not going to go where Bob said.
I didn't say go to hell.
We'll continue with regular business item A.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and fellow council members. This is an item that was continued from your previous meeting on August 23rd. has to do with the Monte Vista Estates final map. As I've indicated in our previous meeting, there were some changes to this map. However, the city engineer and the community development director have reviewed it and did find it in substantial conformance. In addition to those, the developer has agreed to pay a sewer supplemental fee of $2,500, a $500 per unit plaza fee, and a general plan fee for each unit, and that general plan fee shall be in the sum of 1/10 of 1% of the value of the buildings, and those will go towards general planning, which will, one, help reimburse the general plan update that we are currently going through, and the subsequent documents to follow. So we have presented you with some additional information, and at this time I can answer any questions that any council member may have.
Any questions?
No questions.
Thank you, Michael. I guess I would comment initially that we went through a great deal of deliberating on this particular item at our last council meeting. We've certainly come to some foregone conclusions in terms of the changes, how they came about. We had to go back to staff. I think I'll defer to my colleagues at this juncture for any additional comments. Councilmember Kinkler?
Everything looks fine as far as I'm concerned.
I know I have no comments at this time.
Okay. Then I will open up for any action.
I move that we approve.
I second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Sure, carry unanimously.
A little shorter this time, huh?
I was getting ready to find a good seat out there. Okay, moving on. We are pulling item B, consideration removal of the tree in front of Ace due to, we need to bring it back to the streetscape committee for their review before it comes to the council. So there's a little miscommunication on that part, so there will be no item B this evening. We'll move on to item C, adopt resolution number 2005, next number, a resolution of an intent to approve an amendment to contract between the Board of Administration, California Public Employees Retirement System, and the City Council of the City of Newman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, there is a continuation or an extension of the agreement with the Employees Union Miscellaneous Bar Unit for their last year and additional 2 years. One of the items that were brought up in negotiations was an enhancement of the pension plan. And to get the ball rolling on the city's commitment to this new pension plan, this resolution is necessary. It is done according to PERS contract language. They also require us to tell you the fiscal impact and to hold an election among the employees. Even though the city pays the employees' costs, there is an increase in the cost that statutorily could be borne by the employees should the city stop paying. So that's why the election is necessary. And then the costs are shown under the fiscal impact. There will be a cost increase of approximately $35,000 in the first year for the miscellaneous members of the union to the city, and additional costs for those members of the pension plan who are not members of the union. And these figures are shown in the staff report. And with this, we'll start with your approval, the ball rolling to amend the contract, it probably won't be effective till December 1st if all goes as planned and with your approval. I will take any questions now if you have any.
Questions? If there's no questions, direction?
I so move for approval of resolution number 2005, next number, a resolution of intention to approve an amendment to the contract between the Board Administration, California Public Employees Retirement System, and City Council of the City of Newman.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item D, award bid for playground equipment for the Alfred A. Bush Rose Jr. Park.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. This has to do with the Alfred Bush Junior Rose Park. Ranchwood Contractors donated $25,000 for the purchase and installation of playground equipment. We went out to bid and we received 2 bids. First one was from Playgrounds by Design from Pleasanton for $26,630.67, and then we received the second one from Permagrass Hydro Seeding, Gilroy, $25,214. Playground equipment submitted by both companies are comparable in material, size, quality. However, there is a slight variation in the appearance and the design. The low bidder is Permagrass Hydro Seeding, and it is staff's recommendation that Permagrass Hydro Seeding be awarded the bid for $25,214. Any questions?
The Rec Commission was okay with the difference in the look of the equipment?
In reviewing the bids with Doug Matosa, I don't know if he discussed it with, took it to Rec Commission or not, but I believe he discussed it with the Rec Director.
What's the difference in what was presented to us before? And then follow-up question is, if I recall, because we had to take this back out to bid, it was inclusive of putting it in, and I don't see this in this report. Is this all inclusive, or is this just the equipment?
No, it's all inclusive. They'll do the entire installation. Right. And the Permagrass Hydro Seeding is stated in the report. He's a local businessman. He has property over in the industrial park area. So if we have any issues with it, it's a lot easier to deal with him than the other bidder.
Just along the lines of what John was talking about a second ago, can we for future though, and I'm not sure if it was done or not, as John asked, just submitting different pictures so that way, because you know, people drive by these parks, they want something that's very appealing to the eye. So for the sake of future, maybe they could have pictures as well as these bids.
I had quite a few designs that they were submitted by the bidders.
Oh, okay.
And the original submittals from Playgrounds by Design had been presented to the Parks and Rec Commission.
And we saw those also. So
Right.
the variation
Right.
is what? So slight that it's not even noticeable there.
Exactly, very, very
remember
slight.
that, yes.
So this is one of the reasons why I didn't include it in the
Okay.
package, because it had been submitted
It's only
before.
because it's been a little while. I don't remember what meeting that was.
Right.
I just wanted to make sure that they were, you know, the Rec Commission, since they contemplated this for quite a few meetings, what kind of, don't laugh. You gotta do the job right. Do it right.
Maybe it's
Making
not
sure
part
it
of
was
the
right.
bid, but wasn't there some benches that are going to be included at that park at a later time?
We've talked about that, but I believe those are the ones that the city manager has been working on.
We received, I believe, 5 picnic benches of recycled plastic under a state grant, and then we're going to put those up on the berm, at least in some, and in some also in Janet Carlson Park. I think there's 5 or 6.
Excellent.
Do we have those ready, or those are coming in?
They are here.
They're here ready.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. Very good.
Thank you.
If there's no more questions for Ernie, could we have some direction?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we award the playground equipment bid, Alfred Bush Rose Junior Park to Perma Green Hydro Seeding, $25,214.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Item E, review bid for janitorial services.
Mayor and City Council, the last council meeting, we were looking at, we directed staff to seek bids for janitorial service. We placed an ad in the paper. We had the scope of work out and available at the police department and also at City Hall. We received one bid. As you can see, that it is a local bid, but it does not conform to what we were originally, to the scope of the work that we were looking for. As you can see, we were looking for 4 days. This is for 1 day a week, and it also does not include the fire department. So I'll be looking at the amounts as submitted are here, and what accounts those would come out of are part of the report. And I'd be ready to entertain any kind of questions you may have regarding this process.
Quick question on the background, first of all, where it talks about the West Side Consolidated Fire District, who's responsible for half the facility, does not want to share in half the costs. Didn't we ask to look into that report, or that agreement rather, what it speaks to in terms of maintenance of that building? Was there something in there to that?
I wasn't able to read directly that there was anything in that report that they will share any expenses with the building.
So there isn't anything about
specifically for maintenance. I didn't see such, but they have it for for routine maintenance. They have things for if they have like a leak or something of that nature, but not for these type of services.
So in essence, we're just looking for janitorial services for the police department only?
No, we're looking for this and also City Hall.
Okay, this includes City Hall?
Yes, it did.
Okay, I stand corrected.
And as you can see on page 2 of the report, it shows where where it would come from each account. As you can see, it's pretty much 25% over 4 accounts, and each account would be responsible for $975.
It is a significant point, though, that we thought we were doing this for 4 days a week, but this cost is 1 day a week.
Yeah, I think we should just go back. My opinion is we should just go back, look for others, and see what we can find. Because I mean, obviously, if we're gonna do just police and City Hall, and we had the discussion last time around, if we're gonna do these janitorial services, it ought to include the fire department as well, because we hear with Public Works with their staffing and everything else. So if we're going to go out and do the janitorial services, let's go ahead and take care of it in one fell swoop.
So I'm looking at possibly going out, because we did a local, pretty much tried to stay as local as we could. We advertised in the local paper, so I think now we would have to expand our search. Is that what I'm getting direction
When you say
for?
local paper, you're just talking about our local...
Our local paper here, the Madison.
Oh.
Yeah, I would think, I hate to do that, but, I mean, I think we need to rethink this and go out to bid again and expand our advertising area.
Sure. We can check with in Merced County and also in Stanislaus County.
Since you said you only had one reply through our local paper,
yes, that's true.
That's not real good.
And it would be to include as well the fire department.
We would try to, this particular bid did not include the fire department, but our scope of work did.
Right.
So when they bid this without that.
Can I ask the city attorney, this is on for review, but could they take action to reject this bid as non-conforming, to open the door for going out to bid again? This is a non-conforming bid because it didn't include the fire department.
Just reject all bids?
Yes.
That's always the easiest thing.
Reject all bids and start over?
Right.
Okay. If there's no further questions, could we have a motion in to reject all bids and go back to square one?
Okay. Thank you.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Item 11, items from the city manager and staff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a couple items. I'm going to update you on Ecologic. We are trying to get a response from the water board on our letter, a strategy of where we want to go. and we want to start to put the pressure on them to respond. They have a reputation for dragging their feet. But they have, at the state level, not at the regional level, but at the state level, they're going to have a SALT conference this week where we hope they're going to solidify their plans on how to deal with salt. As you've been briefed, the water code allows us to reclaim our effluent with no regard to salt, yet they are holding us accountable for salt. So we'd like to get them to clarify their position in the fact that it's not in compliance with the state law. So after this week, we are going to start to put the pressure on them to respond to our letter and our plan. In a similar vein, I met this week with Chris White, Executive Director of the Central California Irrigation District. We talked about many things, but one of the things we're going to try to pursue immediately is a master drainage agreement. As you recall, I think it was a week or two ago, they had some irrigation and drainage overflow on Orostimba, and we also go through their canals on the way to drain our storm drains. So we need to work out a master storm drainage agreement and also deal with all these mutually beneficial interests that we need to iron out, because they are with us and we are with them, interrelated in our water and stormwater. So that's going to be coming before you in the foreseeable future, and that's all I have. I think staff has things they want to share.
That's the good news about CCID. I'm glad to hear that Chris took it upon himself to come over. And
Well, I asked
we
him.
didn't bribe him, did we?
No.
That's good. There's many ditches that we share that we need to get some agreements on.
Good evening, Council. Just an update. We had our general plan workshop this previous Saturday at Yellow Middle School. Very successful. In attendance, there was in excess of 50 persons. We printed out 75 workshops, workbooks, and we had less than 10 left over. So it was very successful. The committee addressed all 9 issues that were identified in the workbook and gave clear direction to staff. So we will be moving forward. In my discussions with the consulting firm, we believe that we are actually ahead of task, and we may be able to finish up this document and get to public hearings probably late summer next year. The reason we have such additional time left is we have to write the environmental impact report and the environmental document that goes with it. So now that we're through some of the major issues, we'll take an in-depth look at all of our policy documents and the goals spelled out within this general plan and proceed forward. So we do not have a general plan steering committee meeting this month. In lieu of that, the committee will be going on a tour on October 4th, and they'll be visiting different communities throughout the area and heading up into probably San Joaquin County, Sacramento County, Contra Costa County, and just looking at different ways they deal with different issues, ranging from streetscape to industrial business parks to entrances into subdivisions and pedestrian scale walkways, downtowns, and all the like. So we will have a community design element within this general plan update. So the next general plan steering committee meeting will be October 18th, and I will continue to announce it at all of our meetings. So with that, the only other thing that I had to offer tonight was on Thursday of this week, the 15th, we will have a planning commission meeting. There are 2 items: the high density residential that has been talked about for Sherman Ranch on the north and east of the park site. That will be coming before the Planning Commission and then forwarding to you. It could be as soon as your next meeting. And then also there's an appeal of an interpretation made by myself of the municipal code. So,
And what's that regarding?
the municipal code states in the I district, which is an industrial district, that the maximum height for buildings is 50 feet. If you wanted to secure a conditional use permit, you could go up to 75 feet. And the catch language that I believe, it says the absolute height with or without a conditional use permit is 75 feet. Now, the person that is appealing my decision says that they should be able to process a variance to go higher than 75 feet. My interpretation is you have to do an ordinance amendment to say the absolute height of the structure is 75 feet, whether with or without a conditional use permit. So
That's per our municipal code.
that's per our municipal code, yeah. So the planning commission will make a determination, and it's probably likely that that will end up in your chambers here for
Right.
your final determination.
Okay, that's why I asked that question. I see this agenda here. When it comes to interpreting or the actual enforcement of the municipal code, it comes back to the council.
Well, the way the Muni Code reads is if the applicant / developer does not agree with the planning director's interpretation, they then appeal it to the planning commission for interpretation. At subsequent time that decision is not either agreed to either by the planning director and or the applicant, then it can be further appealed to the city council.
And that's with the municipal code
That's in the-
versus the zoning ordinance?
That's in the zoning ordinance. Within the municipal code.
Okay, well, that's why, because you're making reference to the municipal code, but you're talking about the specific zoning ordinance.
That's correct. The zoning code is part of the municipal
Right.
code, is Title V within
Right.
there. So that's what I'm specifically, because it is a zoning issue, it goes to the planning commission
Right.
before it comes to the city
Exactly,
council.
that's where I guess my question was derived
Yeah.
from. It's a zoning issue. Okay, thank you,
And
Mike.
this is pertaining to a cell tower, just so everybody's
Yeah, I
aware.
kinda figured that.
That's
They
somebody
want to be
wanted
higher than 75 feet, it sounds like.
Michael, I'm sorry, I missed the date for the turf. What date did you say?
October 4th,
That's on a weekday.
that's on a Tuesday,
Yeah. It's gonna be a nighttime deal or what?
all day.
Really?
8 in the morning till probably 5 or 6 in the afternoon.
October 4th.
October 4th, yes.
Did you run that by all the committee members?
They agreed to it,
Really?
yes.
That must have been that meeting I missed because of Fall Festival.
That's the big
Yeah.
miss.
How soon can we play on the field?
It's moving forward. As you can see, they're getting ready to pour concrete out in the New Sherman Park. They're getting out the area ready to continue to install the sidewalk or the concrete that would go under the base for the playground equipment. So I think they're probably on task, which will probably mean another 90 days or so is what they've indicated to us. But I will give you an update at your next meeting as I talk to them.
Kind of exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a very nice park. We're actually going through all the detail work right now on what the garbage cans are going to look like, what the barbecues are going to look like, what the benches are going to look like, playground equipment and all that. I think it's going to show what the community deserves.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Just wanted to let you know we kicked soccer season off with a big float in the Fall Festival Parade. All the kids, including myself, had a great time. And our first games were this past Saturday. 10 games, went off without a hitch. The only problems were the restrooms, but I've already taken care of that with Mr. Matoza. Any questions? And we do have one of our soccer coaches in the audience, Mr. Holland.
I rode my motorcycle by those floats. They were packed. I had a question looking at you guys' agenda, and it was in regards to the West Side Alliance with their 501c status, the nonprofit. What is the name of their organization? I'm sorry.
They
were at your last
Sports,
meeting.
West Side Sports
Side
Alliance.
Sports Alliance.
Okay. We don't have, as a city, we don't have any specific agreements with them, do we?
No, we don't.
Okay, and I wanted to clarify that because I saw them at you guys' meeting. I know what their initial push is, what they're trying to do, but they're more a private nonprofit entity. Are they looking to try to work in conjunction with us at some point, or what just is their
He wasn't
thought?
present at this month's meeting, but at last month's meeting, he did keep saying possibly in the future.
Okay, because that's something that would come before us, before it would be something to mention. Do not, I would like to see, I mean, we had our Explorers in here, we got the soccer going, and we're trying to support as much youth activities as we possibly can, but I just noticed that on one of your agendas minutes, and I was wondering where.
Yes, he
where
brings
it's
a
all-
report every month
How are they doing? Raising a lot of money, right?
Supposedly, they've paid for most of their legal expenses, and that's about it.
Everybody looks at Tom.
Thank you.
They couldn't pay me enough to do those 501s.
And
Okay.
regarding
Okay.
some of the other items on the agenda, Mr. Perez didn't show for the meeting, and neither did Mr. Moda for the baseball, Westside baseball.
Okay.
So we had a real short meeting.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor and City Council, we had just have 3 events that we've had worked. One was the Fall Festival. We had minor incidents. Everything went well. Everybody behaved themselves. We're looking forward to next year. Next thing we have coming up is the Farmers Market. Their last one is coming up on this coming Thursday. So if we can make it out for that. They're going to have a little car show and fruits and vegetables, and I'm not sure what other entertainment they have going on, but
It's going to be a Hispanic thing.
is it?
Mm-hmm. Mariachis and some dancers.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're also working with the West Side Classic for the band review coming up on October 29th. So we'll be coming before the council here, probably the next council meeting and the council meeting thereafter in October. With that, I'll entertain kind of questions you may have.
Questions? No questions?
I guess we're doing great.
Thank you, Chief. Mike, already, okay?
Yeah, Mike, you are doing great.
Don't say that. His head swells up when you tell him. Items from the city council members. Mike?
He got a big
That's
list.
all right.
Get that.
There was an item that came up that I think we're all aware of, but in the last month it's come to my attention that a tentative map can be altered, which I feel is not a proper process. Number one, there's no public hearing, and the right of the public's voice isn't heard. So that means any public hearing they had before has no value, and it's nothing more than a distant whisper. The city council's elected officials were elected to run this city. They may or may not be informed about these changes, large or small. As we found out, we may not have the right to determine whether these changes in the best interest of the city. In my opinion, this creates city government saying one thing in public, but doing what it wants behind closed doors. I asked for a change in the city code, making it necessary that any changes, alterations from tentative map be approved by the city council. And I open that up for discussion. Thank you.
I would agree with you, Mike, 100%.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with the city manager about that, and I think Tom's been working on that conversation with John and see if that can be changed.
Yeah, I would concur, because if we're going to be held responsible for tentative map change, we certainly have to be part of it.
Anything else, Mike? Thank you. Bob?
I have nothing tonight.
Charles?
Yeah, I just had a quick question on one of the items that we had in our packet was the treasurer's report. I know we've been kind of short-handed with our finance staff, but on page 1, I'd seen with regard to the grants, we were negative $105,688.19. How have we been? I know in the past these grants were being routinely, turned in and submitted and so forth. And that's why I'd asked the question before, John, as far as how we were handling with the finance department with all these changes and vacancies. How are we doing with our grants and having these things done in a timely manner? Are we, again, that's why I pointed out to page 1 of this treasurer's report being 105,000 plus. How are we doing on our grant submittals?
My grants are administered by self-help, and they basically consist of the rehabilitation of housing grants and getting people into housing. We do have now in this new year, we moved away from those grants, which we still have overlapping this new entitlement grant. And so we're bringing before you that list of projects that were decided on last year. How we're going to spend this entitlement money was I think it was $177,000 this year and another $177,000 next year. That'll be coming to you as projects. Now those are specific city projects. The other large grants, we basically wait for interest in the community, and they're redoing one now and finishing up another. But those are largely advertised by self-help and they're reimbursement based. This item that you point out to me, I will have to investigate of what that negative is and get back to you. Actually, from a cash position, the city's never been healthier. But from a fund condition, we have to look at each of these funds and find out why some of them have gone into the negative, and I will get back to you on that.
Okay. Yeah, that was just the main concern, because like I'd mentioned at that last meeting, with regards to the vacancies in the finance department, just making sure that this stuff gets done in a timely manner, especially when, you know, we're already including it as part of our revenues, and, you know, making sure that these grants get sent out, and as well as to make sure that there's follow-up with self-help, to make sure that they're actually writing and, you know, doing what they need to be doing to actually get those monies in that we've already accounted for.
Especially if we've already spent them. And that's where the cash flow is good now. But if we have to back in anything that has a negative behind it, then we'll eventually have to pay for it. And what came to my mind was Metairie Field. I know that we had a park grant for that, and we spent the money up front where we put in the grass and the benches. It looks really nice over there. And I think also we did a little something with the youth center over there with some of those funds. But we funded that up front. And I can't recall, but I think it was about a $58,000 grant, somewhere along those lines. I just recall that one. It just stood out with me because I know at the time that we were spending the money, it had not been funded as yet. So I don't know whether or not that's relative to this grant, because it's just kind of generic. But that would be where I want to know whether or not we're still in line to receive the money back.
I believe that one is closed out, that Lions Park grant.
Yeah, Lions Park. So that one was funded.
Yeah, it was a little bit, for some reason,
I think it was more than that.
$170,000 sticks in my mind.
Yeah, I just remember the expenditure,
yeah.
about $58,000 that we spent in advance of actually getting any money.
These entitlement grants are not reimbursement based. They're a project that we will submit to the county, who will pay the contractors directly.
Okay.
So yes, I will look into this item.
Is it Charles? Yeah. Thank you. Tim?
I just was going to comment briefly on the coattails of Councilmember Crinklaw, and not so much specifically on the tentative maps, but just policy and direction in specific. You're right. The buck stops here because we're representatives of the people of this community, and I would actually speak to some of our procedural manual, just to say that it's been some time since we reviewed that. And I don't know if we've done it at all since you're coming on board to the council, but I think that if we could take, like we've done, maybe even in closed session or prior to our meeting across the street, that we maybe review a couple of chapters of our municipal code so that we just have our procedures a little more in line, because I certainly don't think that what happened should have happened as well. And I think it falls in line with how we conduct business. And I think during the course of our meeting, we shouldn't be kind of sailing along those ways trying to fill that out. We have a process. It's through our municipal code, and it's pretty definitive of how we operate. And I think for us to review it from time to time just keeps all of us sharp with the duties of staff, with the duties of elected officials, and how we are to conduct the business of the people. So that would be my suggestion to that, and I have nothing further.
Thank you, Tim. I know our county representatives left. I just wanted to thank them for helping us keep the ball rolling with this Oris Denba flood control project. George Stillman he's been there from the beginning. He's spent a lot of money and resources and time on this, and like you said, it's been a tough deal working with core staff that keeps on disappearing every couple of years or gets shipped off the latest disaster or whatever. But we're going to get there yet. I think we can, like George said, we're seeing the light in the tunnel. I wanted to thank everybody, all my volunteers, for helping and participating in the Fall Festival. Another one is in the can, so to speak. Look forward to next year. And thank you very much. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Mike.
Paid in the Fall Festival. Another one is in the can, so to speak. Look forward to next year. And thank you very much. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.